Welcome to this week's edition of the Dakota Angler 2-Minute Fishing Report. Well, the summer-like weather continued. I shouldn't say summer-like because we are in the midst of summer. It continued this past week. I had a little bit of rainfall around the area, which was great to see, to say the least. It really didn't help with the dry conditions that we are experiencing currently. But the one thing that people need to keep in mind that the dry conditions that we've been experiencing has affected lakes in some areas, making it really tough to back a boat in. And one of those lakes is Goose. So keep that in mind, and hopefully we get a little bit more rain in the coming weeks. Before we get to the report, I want to remind you of some great sales we have going on this next week. First off, the Rapala R12 fillet knife is going to be on sale for $110. That's $50 off retail price. So again, make sure you take advantage of that. Plus, Fenwick rod sale that we have going on here, that if you buy a Fenwick Eagle or HMX, you get a free try-on reel. And if you buy an HMG or higher, and that includes the Elite, Tegna, and World Class, you get a free President reel. So again, make sure you take advantage of that here at the store over the weekend. As far as the fishing report is concerned, a lot of guys had some success around the area. I think the bite up in Waubay started to pick back up, as well as Bitter. Other lakes up in the northeastern part of the state include Lynn, Opitz, Goose, Big Stone, Indian Springs, a few being caught there now with wheat growth, and then also Dry Lake by Clark, Grass, and then also North and South Rush. Down the southeastern part of the state, the lakes included Ponset, Thompson. Those were the two main ones, other than Dry Lake by Willow Lake, and a few being caught at Sinai. Then also emphasize the word few being caught at Spirit, Whitewood, Henry WPA, North Island, Vermilion, and Madison. And then, of course, the Trophy Lake, Twin Lake, continues to produce walleyes, especially late afternoon and evening. The Missouri River continues to do well up and down the river, as what we saw with the walleye NWT tournament down the Platte area this past weekend. A lot of guys caught plenty of nice fish down there. And what have guys been doing? Honestly, there has really been no trick to catching fish right now. A lot of people are pulling bottom bouncers with spinners and leeches. And also, a lot of people are using slow depth hook rigs. That's honestly one of the best rigs out there for walleyes right now and crawlers. Other people are using the JB Montana blade, so keep that in mind. Other people are also pulling crankbaits. A lot of crankbaits being pulled, looking for those more active fish. Some of the crankbaits being pulled are the flicker shads, Salmo hornets. Also, the Berkeley money badgers has been really hot lately. And then also the shaky shads from Walleye Nation. So again, if you're thinking about going out this next weekend, keep it in mind. Bottom bouncing and pulling crankbaits. In this week's edition of Todd's Tackle Tips, we're going to talk about line counter reels. The reason why is because now is the time of the year that a lot of people start pulling crankbaits, as we mentioned in the report section. But a lot of people don't realize how important a line counter reel actually is. And when you're pulling crankbaits, you need to make sure that that crankbait is in the strike zone consistently. In other words, I always start my 4 rods and reels in different depths, so that way the fish can kind of tell me, kind of indicate to me if there's a type of pattern going on as far as the depth is concerned, watching your electronics to say the least, but also the color of crankbait. Put on 4 different colored crankbaits to tell you, again, if there's any type of different pattern going on. But the main thing is, once you determine the depth that those walleyes are at, you can use the line counter to tell you that you need to let out this amount of line using this crankbait to get to that depth. And then you can do it time and time again. A lot of people use the poor man's method, so to speak, and that's to let the line out of from the reel and let that crankbait hit bottom, crank it up 2 or 3 times, and that's good enough. Well, again, it doesn't consistently put it in the strike zone. The line counter reel will. Now, there's a number of different line counters on the market from different companies, such as Daiwa. Daiwa has 3 different lines of line counters, such as the AccuDepth, C-Line, and Lexa. They're going from beginning to advanced mode, so to speak. Okuma has the Magda, Convector, as well as the Coldwater. The Coldwater is probably the most popular line counter in the Okuma line. And then also the Shimano Dakota. The Dakota line is a very, let's say, well-built, expensive line counter. And if you use line counters a lot, that's the one I would recommend you to gravitate towards. There's other ones, such as from Penn and Abu Garcia. They're both very good companies that produce very nice line counters, to say the least. What you need to do is you need to come in and tell us what you're looking for. What's the price range you're going to use? Also, how often are you going to use it? The more often you use it, the better the line counter needs to be to stand up to the abuse, so to speak, that you're going to use. But again, if you're planning on using pulling crankbaits, you cannot do it consistently without using a line counter. So again, if you have any questions about line counters, stop on by here at the store. We have a great selection behind, as you can see behind me, and that never changes here at Dakota Angler. If you have questions about them, though, feel free to stop by or give us a call at 605-336-9132. Now it's time to take a look at a few photos that you sent in to me this past week. And remember, folks, if you'd like your photo included in next week's version of the 2-Minute Fishing Report, please send it to me. Send it to Todd@DakotaAngler.com or post it to our Facebook wall. And remember, folks, before we end this report, don't forget about our ongoing sales. We have a great sale going on in Rapala R12 fillet knives this weekend, and then also with the holiday weekend, we have a great sale with Fenwick rods and get reels in it as well. So, again, buy a rod and get a reel. It's going to be a great deal, and you're not going to want to pass it up. If you have any questions about either one of those deals, feel free to give us a call at 605-336-9132. Well, folks, that's this week's version of the 2-Minute Fishing Report for Dakota Angler. I'm the owner, Todd Heitkamp, and as we say around here, fish on! We'll see you next week. And again, thanks for watching. Stay healthy, and folks, stay safe.